Let me express my deepest thanks to the Philippine Coast Guard for celebrating this year's IMO World Maritime Day 2019, which is focused on the theme Empowering Women in the Maritime Community. The IMO has dedicated 365 days in 2019 to enable us to have this theme at the top of the agenda of the entire maritime community, which includes the Navy. World Maritime Day provides us an opportunity not only for the goals and the objectives of the International Maritime Organization that is brought to the attention of a far wider audience than is usually possible, but also to heighten the overall public awareness of the very positive and vital role that the shipping industry, including the navies, play in ensuring security, safety, and environmental protection, among others. The spotlight this year of a World Maritime Day is on women. Women in maritime, and this has very special significance for all of us. This is the first time that the IMO has adopted the theme Empowering Women in the Maritime Community, with 365 days to promote, stimulate, and excite people about the role that women can play and in advancing gender equality. Achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls is a global agenda, one that is recognized under Goal 5 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The maritime industry is indeed one of the most underrepresented sectors for women, where we've got only about 2% of the total maritime workforce being made up of women. In the last 27 years, the percentage of women in maritime has not changed. And the question that arises is, how can we make change? The clock is ticking, and it is ticking much faster now, and action is therefore urgently required. The most effective solution is to increase women's leadership capacity in the maritime sector, including in the Navy. If we make change at the top, the whole organization will change accordingly. And it is for this reason that I am so pleased to learn that our recent WMU graduate, Captain Christine Pauline DeCiano, has been appointed as the Commander of Gender and Development of the Philippine Coast Guard. Congratulations to Philippine Coast Guard, and congratulations to Christine. The WMU class about to graduate has a further 2 students from the Coast Guard, 1 female and 1 male. Good gender parity this year. Thank you. The new intake from the Philippines consists of 5 students. However, only 1 of them is a woman. Let's hope next time we get a better gender balanced intake. To date, 49 graduates from the Philippine Coast Guard, 8 of whom are women, have returned to serve with the Coast Guard. Since WMU educates future maritime, naval, and ocean leaders, we hope to continue to see more women among our students that are sent to us. Every organization must take decisions to promote talented people, including talented professional women, into leadership positions. And in this regard, it is my hope that more women will follow in the footsteps of Captain DeCiano. The Philippine Coast Guard has always been supportive of WMU, especially in the organization of one of our best field study programs in maritime education and training specialization, which has been visiting the Philippines for many years. I would like to thank the Philippine Coast Guard for our long-standing partnership and for this solid collaboration, and wish to see many more students, including women, from the Philippine Coast Guard joining the WMU in the coming years. I remember fondly my visit, the last time I visited the Philippines, to the Philippine Coast Guard, and how well I was received. In all my interventions this year, I have been asking all organizations and maritime stakeholders to make change for gender equality. I am proposing that use is made of the conclusions that have been agreed upon by the WMU Empowering Women in the Maritime Community that was held in April of this year at WMU, and which brought together more than 350 participants, and which called for action to be taken on 17 elements of conclusions that were reached. I have been consistently and persistently asking stakeholders to take forward at least one action to implement, so that together we can make and we can see change. I am asking our women to be role models, and I will start with myself, and our men to support them to hold high the banner for gender equality in all our workplaces and our professions. Let us take proactive steps together to achieve transformative change for gender equality. Our children and our grandchildren will not forgive us if we don't take this action. The time is now and not tomorrow. The Philippine Coast Guard can champion gender equality, taking into account the number of women in its ranks, including those who have had the opportunity to be educated at WMU. In conclusion, I wish to ask you still a little bit more. Be the inspiration. Be the role models. Support women, especially when they face challenges. And let us all reach out and enable women to take advantage of the new opportunities, whether in the Navy, in maritime, and in the field of ocean science. I wish to extend my very best wishes to Empowering Women in the Maritime Community event that you have today, as together we strengthen the support networks to empower women in the maritime community, in our navies, through education, capacity building, and mentorship. I wish you well today for your deliberations and for the celebration of this day, and I thank you very much.
My warmest greetings to all the hardworking men and women of the Philippine Coast Guard as you celebrate the World Maritime Day. Through the years, women have made great strides in their chosen fields, even those that are historically dominated by men, like the maritime and shipping industry. Here in the Philippines, which remains one of the most gender-equal countries in Asia, women occupy top executive and senior management roles, whether in public service or in the private sector. Indeed, we have shown that there are no limits to what we can accomplish, especially when we lift each other up. But despite these milestones, we cannot ignore the fact that we still have so much work to do to achieve one of our Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, to achieve gender equality, empower all women and girls in the world, and eliminate all forms of gender stereotypes and biases. This is why I am glad to know that the International Maritime Organization has chosen empowering women in the maritime community as the theme of this year's World Maritime Day. We share the belief that when women are empowered, economies thrive. Figures from McKinsey & Company show that advancing women's equality in Asia-Pacific could add $4.5 trillion to collective annual gross domestic product by 2025. This reinforces our vision that pursuing gender equality can unleash the economic potential of any country or industry as well as the global economy. We believe that inclusivity will pave the way for our country's economic sustainability, as well as the rest of the world. But women cannot do this alone. Gender inclusion, after all, is not just about advancing women's rights. It is about sustaining the whole world, and we are more likely to succeed if men are involved. I am proud to say that we are a nation of empowered men and women, and you at the Philippine Coast Guard are a testament to this. To the PCG, we laud your efforts not only in safeguarding the rights of women in your service, but also in equipping them with the high-level skills and competencies that they need to thrive in the maritime industry. Thank you for providing our sisters with proper trainings and career development opportunities so they can grow and flourish in their chosen path. The late American writer Toni Morrison once said, and I quote, "Remember that your real job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else." Close quote. Patuloy po nating ipagmalaki at pagyamanin ang angking galing at husay ng Pilipina. Naniniwala akong sabay-sabay ang ating pag-angat kung aakayin at yayakapin natin ang lahat. Muli, isang mapagpalaya at makabuluhang World Maritime Day sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang tanod baybayin ng Pilipinas.
The Philippine Coast Guard strongly supports this year's theme for World Maritime Day, which is Women Empowerment in the Maritime Community. Women in the Philippine Coast Guard strengthens and contributes to sustainable maritime communities. Their leadership and management contributions are greatly recognized, and we have been mainstreaming capacity building measures in support to their career development. I am proud to say that we now have pilots, commanding officers of PCG vessels, K9 handlers, rescue divers, communication and intelligence officers, environment specialists, technical officers, and unit commanders who are all women. By providing a more inclusive, conducive working environment with equal opportunities and fair treatment for all, women in the Philippine Coast Guard will become catalysts to a thriving PCG service and in building this great maritime country.
The Philippine Coast Guard has always had a pioneering spirit in terms of the empowerment of women. As a young lieutenant junior grade, one of my earliest bosses and mentors was Commander Leti Malahay, who was Assistant Chief of Staff for Plans and Programs, CG5. But there were only a handful of women in the Philippine Coast Guard back then. I'm very gratified to note a quarter of a century later that a vastly greater number of competent and talented women have now joined the officer corps and enlisted ranks of the Philippine Coast Guard. While we must celebrate our unique differences as men and women, I am proud that the Philippine Coast Guard makes no distinction between the sexes when it comes to intellect, capabilities, and responsibilities. In fact, I'm very confident that it's only a matter of time before we find the women of the Philippine Coast Guard where they truly belong, and that is at the organization's highest levels of leadership and command. Maraming pong salamat sa pagkakataong ito na magbigay ng pahayag. Mabuhay po ang kababaihan ng tanod baybayin ng Pilipinas at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
From Women in Maritime Philippines. In solidarity with all women in the maritime community, The Women in Maritime Philippines expresses its gratitude for the recognition given by IMO through its adoption of the theme Empowering Women in Maritime Community. We are elated by the importance accorded to women and our valued contribution to the industry and society in general.
Mabuhay!
I am Lieutenant Junior Grade Carina Dayondon. I've climbed the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, climbed the highest point in each of the 7 continents, the 7 summits, and sailed the vast waters of the Southeast Asian region on board the ancient wooden balangay boat. We climb Mount Everest because we want to show to the Filipino people and to the whole world that if we have teamwork and unity, the Filipino can achieve something seems impossible. And by sailing the balangay boat, we can reconnect our people to a rich maritime history. Embarking on those journeys makes me discover myself and go beyond my limits. Having done all of those successfully shows that women are no less than to many men achievers in the maritime community. So by 2019 and beyond, I would love to believe that for the maritime community, there's nothing impossible to achieve bigger dreams if we have teamwork and unity, and let us continue to empower our women. Mabuhay!
PCG training programs are very important. It's going to assist PCG in developing a qualified workforce to manage and maintain their assets and to meet the mission parameters. Non-officers are included because all of the technical ratings within PCG are non-officers, and that technical training is important because they need to make sure they're qualified and capable of managing all of PCG's assets and keep them functional and operational to meet the nation's needs. Including women in training programs is very important. Developing a professional workforce in a diverse work environment where women are important and integral to the mission is critical. They have the need to get trained, and they are supporting the mission, and they are an integral part of the service. Their professional development is important and should never be put in the background. It's hard to describe how many women I have served with over the years and have known, such as you, who are consummate professionals who contribute daily to their nation's defense, their nation's critical infrastructure, and their nation's workforce.